He says that the countries are still not doing enough to stop the flow of drugs into the United States. The president's threats have led to a lot of confusion and uncertainty for businesses. Rachel Michelin is the president of the California Retailers Association, and she is here to talk about the economic impact of these increases. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So President Trump threatening tariffs on more than $900 billion worth of goods from Mexico and Canada. Can you talk about what industries could end up being hit the hardest here?
Pretty much every industry you can think about: automotive, computers, furniture, food, groceries, everyday products. I think Californians are going to start feeling it in the pocketbooks as these tariffs start taking effect.
You know, when you look at the economy, too, obviously we talk a lot about these tariffs, but we also talk about inflation. It looks like it's rising. What can that mean when you put it in combination with the tariffs?
No, I think it's Californians in particular are really getting squeezed right now. I think even before the election, we knew cost of living was a really important feature that Californians were grappling with. We've seen the price of eggs increasing. I think that's something everyone's been talking about. Now you look at these tariffs coming into play. We have a lot of regulation in California. Businesses are being squeezed right and left. A lot of confusion as well. And I think that's really one of the big things that really causes a lot of angst among both consumers and businesses, is really not knowing what's going on. How long are these tariffs going to last? What's the impact going to be? How can you plan? And when you think about it, particularly for our smaller businesses in California, we just started seeing them recovering from the pandemic, really started to make those strides. And then unfortunately, we had what happened with the fires in Los Angeles. It just seems like we can't quite get over that hump. And this is really, I think, going to set us back.
Well, I did want to ask you, because I do think about businesses a lot. As you said, it could impact such a wide range of industries. How does this, because they have to plan for cost structure. So how does this kind of weigh in? I have to imagine it makes things very difficult.
It's a fine line, right? Because consumers only have so much spending money. Businesses still have bills to pay. They don't know how long this is going to last. So do you try to absorb the tariffs maybe for a month if you can, if you think that's how long it's going to last? Do you think, okay, can I raise my prices right now in hopes that I can keep my customers, but it's only for a short period of time? Is this going to last 6 months, a year? You don't know. Plus, you don't know how quickly are you going to get the products even in?
Right.
Are people going to actually be able to import these products into the U.S.? We don't know any of that because there's so much uncertainty of what's going on. This really hasn't happened before. And so I think all of that uncertainty really does play into this. And really, it's one thing after another. And I think businesses just want to know, especially for me and for retail, representing retail, we want to sell our products.
Right.
We represent grocery, all types of retail in California. We just want to get products on the shelves and to consumers. And this really just makes it so much more difficult.
Well, we heard too from him that they were going to be on, then they were delayed, then they're off, now they're back on again. Is this somewhat of a negotiating tactic for the president, or what is this about?
And on one hand, look, we want to be competitive, globally. We want jobs in the U.S. We want to be able to have competitive pricing for our retailers and for our consumers, both in California and nationwide. That's absolutely important. There is some trade imbalance between the U.S. and some of these other countries. And so I do think, the president is a businessman. That's his background. And so I do think this is part of that negotiation. But I do think we're not used to this coming from our president. So I think that the uncertainty is really something that I think we're all trying to figure out exactly how this is going to play out over the next few months. So we'll see. It's a little bit of a game of chicken, I think, right now, and we'll see how these countries react to it. Obviously, we saw some movement, I think, with Canada and Mexico at one point. I don't know what China is going to do. Now we've got the EU in play. So I do think it's certainly going to be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks.
Interesting is a very good word, I think, for this time period. Rachel Michelin, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.